On March 28, 2025, Myanmar was struck by a catastrophic 7.7 magnitude earthquake, an event that has since been etched into the nation's history as one of its most devastating natural disasters in over a century. With its epicenter near the historic city of Sagaing, just northwest of Mandalay, the quake unleashed a wave of destruction that rippled across 6 regions, including the capital Naypyidaw, leaving behind a trail of unimaginable loss. As of April 8, 2025, the death toll has soared past 3,500, with thousands more injured and hundreds still missing beneath the rubble. The shallow depth of the earthquake, approximately 10 kilometers, amplified its destructive power, toppling buildings, shattering infrastructure, and displacing countless lives in a country already grappling with a brutal civil war and a humanitarian crisis. This commentary seeks to explore the profound impact of this disaster, the international response it has elicited, and the complex challenges Myanmar faces as it attempts to recover from this tragedy. The sheer scale of the earthquake's devastation is difficult to comprehend. In Mandalay, Myanmar's second-largest city with a population of around 1.5 million, entire neighborhoods were reduced to rubble. Iconic temples and monasteries, centuries-old symbols of the nation's cultural heritage, crumbled under the force of the tremors. The Maha Ongmai Bonsan Monastery in Inwa, a historic Buddhist site that had withstood wars and previous quakes, sustained severe damage, while the Sakyajita Thilashan Nunnery near Mandalay, a beacon of empowerment for women, was left in ruins. Beyond the physical destruction, the human toll is staggering. Families have been torn apart, with survivors left to sift through debris in a desperate search for loved ones. The United Nations Aid Chief, Tom Fletcher, described the scenes in Mandalay as epic, noting the staggering destruction and the urgent need for food, water, shelter, and electricity among traumatized communities. The sight of makeshift tent camps along railway tracks and the haunting stench of decay in towns like Sagaing paint a grim picture of a nation pushed to the brink. What makes this disaster particularly harrowing is the context in which it occurred. Myanmar has been mired in a civil war since the military coup in February 2021, which ousted the democratically elected government of Aung San Suu Kyi. The junta's brutal crackdown on pro-democracy forces and ethnic minority groups has displaced over 3.5 million people, decimated the economy, and left basic services like healthcare and education in tatters. The earthquake struck at a time when the military regime was already reeling from battlefield losses, weakening its grip on power. For many, the quake felt like a cruel twist of fate, and Earth's anger piled atop years of man-made suffering. In towns like Mingun, near the epicenter, residents who had fled airstrikes and sought refuge in temples found those sanctuaries collapsing around them, forcing them into forests with nowhere left to turn. Army roadblocks, a remnant of the ongoing conflict, have further compounded the crisis by preventing the injured from reaching hospitals, amplifying the sense of entrapment and despair. The immediate aftermath of the earthquake revealed both the resilience and the vulnerability of Myanmar's people. In the absence of robust government-led rescue efforts, local communities sprang into action, digging through rubble with their bare hands in a race against time to find survivors. Volunteers aligned with the Shadow National Unity Government (NUG), a pro-democracy coalition, reported scenes reminiscent of a war zone, with one rescuer likening Sagaing to a town bombarded by a nuclear bomb. Yet, the military junta's response has been widely criticized as inadequate and opportunistic. Rather than prioritizing search and rescue operations, reports emerged of airstrikes continuing in the days following the quake, a chilling reminder of the regime's unrelenting grip on power. The junta's call for international assistance, an unusual move for a government that has historically shunned foreign intervention, has raised questions about its motives. Analysts suggest that the regime may be using the disaster to bolster its diplomatic legitimacy, as evidenced by junta chief Min Aung Hlaing's rare trip to Bangkok for a regional summit, where he was warmly received by Thai officials despite his pariah status on the global stage. The international response to the earthquake has been a mixed bag, reflecting both generosity and geopolitical complexities. Neighbors like China, India, and Russia quickly dispatched relief supplies and rescue teams, with Chinese workers in their distinctive blue and orange uniforms becoming a ubiquitous presence in affected areas. India's Operation Brahma saw the deployment of a C-17 aircraft carrying 31 tons of aid and a field hospital unit, while a naval ship delivered 442 tons of food to Thilawa port. The United States, historically a leader in global humanitarian efforts, pledged $9 million, a sum dwarfed by its past contributions and overshadowed by the Trump administration's recent dismantling of USAID. The layoffs of 3 USAID workers mid-mission in Myanmar underscored the chaos within U.S. aid operations, drawing criticism from Democrats who urged Secretary of State Marco Rubio to scale up efforts. Meanwhile, the United Nations has issued desperate pleas for global support, warning of shortages in medicine, clean water, and shelter, and highlighting the risk of waterborne diseases like cholera amid damaged plumbing infrastructure. Yet, delivering aid to Myanmar is no simple task. Damaged roads, downed bridges, and severed communication lines have hampered relief efforts, while heavy rains in early April, forecast to continue, have added to the misery, disrupting rescue operations and raising fears of disease outbreaks. The military government's history of restricting foreign aid has further complicated the response. French volunteers, for instance, were delayed at Yangon airport for over a day, only to find search and rescue operations abruptly declared over upon their arrival. Smaller, community-led groups supported by cross-border aid from Thailand and India have stepped in to fill the gaps, but their reach is limited. The junta's insistence on controlling aid distribution has fueled skepticism about whether resources will reach those most in need, particularly in rebel-held areas where distrust of the regime runs deep. The long-term implications of this earthquake are profound and troubling. Myanmar's economy, already on its knees, faces an even bleaker future as agricultural lands, vital to millions, lie in ruins, and food insecurity, affecting 15.2 million people pre-quake, worsens. The destruction of cultural landmarks threatens the nation's identity and tourism industry, a rare source of revenue. Politically, the disaster could deepen Myanmar's descent into chaos. Experts like Joshua Kurlansik of the Council on Foreign Relations warn that it may render the country even more of a failed and violent state, with the junta exploiting the crisis to tighten its grip while its opponents seize the opportunity to gain ground. The temporary ceasefires announced by both the military and rebel groups have already frayed, with reports of renewed fighting signaling that peace remains elusive. For the people of Myanmar, the earthquake is not just a natural disaster, it is a compounding tragedy that amplifies their existing struggles. The trauma of aftershocks, the loss of homes and livelihoods, and the fear of an uncertain future weigh heavily on a population that has endured years of conflict and repression. Stories of survival, like that of Ko Ziyar racing toward Sagaing to find his family, are interspersed with accounts of loss that will haunt the nation for generations. The international community must do more than offer temporary relief, it must address the systemic issues, political instability, economic collapse, and humanitarian neglect, that have left Myanmar so vulnerable to such a catastrophe. In conclusion, the March 28 earthquake has laid bare the fragility of a nation already teetering on the edge. It is a stark reminder of nature's indifference to human suffering and the limits of resilience in the face of overlapping crises. As Myanmar mourns its dead and searches for a path forward, the world must rally, not just with aid, but with a sustained commitment to helping this beleaguered country rebuild. The road to recovery will be long and fraught with obstacles, but for the sake of millions who have lost everything, it is a journey that cannot be abandoned. The question remains, will this disaster be a turning point for Myanmar, or will it mark yet another chapter in its unrelenting saga of hardship?